Hey everybody, welcome to FiveStack, our Thursday edition. Can you believe we've been doing it for 4 days in a row now? It's incredible. Dean Blundell is here. Hey
Yeah.
Dean,
Hey,
big
buddy.
news happening all over the place. How you doing?
Oh man, I'm good. I'm in the middle of moving, so I'm in and out of the house, putting stuff in storage, taking some stuff to the new house, and trying to keep in touch with what's going on. And in the fast-paced world of Trump's America and what just literally happened, I'm really glad I was home for Mark Carney's speech to watch him break up with America. I
Tell
I
tell everyone
got.
about this. This is major breaking news. I've never in 3 decades of covering the news, I've never encountered a event like this. You're talking about the leader of Canada basically severing ties with America. Talk about what he said.
Well, we'll wait for a couple of people to ramp up. But what I
Yeah.
saw today, and I'm really glad you gave it that context of you being in the news game for 30 years, former CBS producer, former global CBC producer. You're one of the best at what you do. You've been in these newsrooms. What happened today has never happened in the history of the world. What happened today has never happened in the history of Western civilization. What happened just now on live television was the new Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney, who is meeting the fucking moment for Canada. Gave a Churchill-esque, calm, measured press conference that lasted about 15 minutes. Didn't take any questions, but he effectively broke up with the United States of America. Mark Carney, the Prime Minister of Canada, walked away from our economic agreement with the United States of America, citing the fact that Trump has already shit all over the free trade agreement, so he is in disrespect of this beautiful country of ours. Mark Carney then ended the security agreement with the United States of America, severing ties, security agreement meaning any military agreement, any intelligence sharing agreement with the United States. That just fucking happened just now. We ended our economic and security ties with Trump's America, but it was historically absolutely stunning watching him do this. It wasn't some passive, we're disappointed. It was a strongly worded indictment of Donald Trump and the rapist that is currently occupying the White House. Not a polite diplomatic eye roll. Prime Minister Carney gave it the full breakup speech, saying, and I quote, the era of deep economic security and military ties between Canada and the United States is over. It's over. We're done. Just like that, 150 years of the world's most beautiful, peaceful, mutually beneficial security and economic agreement, the world's longest border, has ended. And it wasn't Carney that did it. It was his words. It was our country that initiated it. This was 100% predicated on a couple of things that Donald Trump has done. A, threatened to annex this country, threaten our sovereignty and security. B, threatened tariffs for lies about fentanyl fire hoses going across the border and subsidies which don't exist. And the key part here, and this is really, really important, something that Trump put out today in a Truth Social post, where he threatened Canada and the EU today, threatened
Yeah.
us to not put Trump and America at economic disadvantage by diversifying trade partners in this insane circus of whatever fucking weird trade war he's going after us for. He threatened Canada today for the last time, and Mark Carney had enough. And he stood up at the stump today and he said, we're out. We're severing all ties with America, economic, security, intelligence, military, all of it. We're going it alone with new member partners, new nation state partners, Australia, New Zealand, about 30 EU countries. We're going to invest in Canada. And he said a couple of other things. He said, we're going to do this at light speed. We're going to do things that were never thought possible in this country because we have to. We do not have a choice. It is, and I think this is an important caveat. Canada separating ties with the United States today, literally severing ties on live television with the world's biggest economic and military superpower, was the stuff of legends. It was the stuff of it'll be one of those incredible moments in history where uh, David stood up to Goliath today. We know how that story ends. And it wasn't just, I said, like the 25% tariffs. He's trying to undermine this country. He's trying to take over this country on behalf of a couple of different multipolar nation states, pariah states. We're not going to let him. We have, to the point, and I just wanted to ferret this out a little bit. We already have, and we'll announce those soon, security agreements in place with several other global superpowers. We have economic agreements in place with several other economic superpowers for raw materials, energy, gas, softwood lumber. All the work that's been going on behind the scenes that went into this conversation culminated because Donald Trump threatened us for the last fucking time today. And we're not having it. And what Mark Carney did today is what every single other leader of every other country that dotard is threatening has to do next. And he is being lauded. Liz Cheney, Macron, every single member of any nation state that is firmly implanted in the democracy or bust movement now that Trump has removed the United States and 370 million beautiful people out of the alliances that have served that country so well. He fucked it. He fucked us for the last time, and Mark Carney decided today to sever ties with the United States of America. And I, even after having this conversation with a couple of different security people today, talking about, what's going to happen next, I couldn't be more proud. I could not be more proud of my prime minister. I could not be more proud of my country. I could not be more proud of the scrote that it took to stand up to the world's biggest economic and military superpower today and say, we're out, peace. And I'm telling you, something's going to happen. I don't know what it is, but Donald Trump is currently eating a giant shit sandwich that Mark Carney just served up in the middle of the Oval Office today. Someone's going to walk in and tell Donald Trump, by the way, the Prime Minister of Canada has severed economic and security ties with us. Because you know what's going to happen next? It's going to be all the other members of the Five Eyes that are going to sever international security ties, intelligence ties, economic ties. And everybody's going to rush to line up behind Canada, not just because we're standing here with our fist in the air saying, fuck you, but the reason why they're going to do it, the other reason, other than pride and they know we're good people and he's the baddies, is because we supply energy and every major mineral and rare earth material that it takes to make that fucking country to the south of us sing. And everybody wants it. And we're going to sell it to them. And then we're going to start investing in Canada. But boy, oh boy, Zev, I have never, ever seen this before. I don't know if we'll see it again. I think it's going to be like dominoes now that
Well, this is a
Canada's
very
opened the
serious
floodgates.
event. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a, this is it's also quite chilling, when you have two allies breaking apart like this, what you're seeing is the shifting global alliances. This is a prelude to a conflict. I mean, this is conflict. It's
Yeah.
just the Cold War before the actual war. And that's what worries a lot of people who are looking at this division now of America from its traditional allies, from NATO, from its European allies. We're seeing that happen in real time. And that's the only way to really describe what Carney's done today is taken that first step to do it. As you point out very astutely, this is Donald Trump's doing.
Mm.
This is entirely a manufactured set of policies that have triggered this. But this
Mm-hmm.
is what they wanted to trigger. Let make no mistake about it. They are wanting conflict with Canada, and they probably want it sooner rather than later. The last thing they want is for Canada to be, building up its arms supply, building up new economic packages with other countries. They want to catch Europe and Canada off guard if they try this mobilization. And there's been word lately of a real mobilization, whether it's towards the southern border or the north, we don't know. But there's changes in the military recruitment rules. There's been unusual military moves in the United States as well. People are beginning to question how imminent is something, and is Carney saying less than he really knows about how imminent that thing really is? As you point out earlier on today, the European Union is also working with Canada to try and head off these auto tariffs that Donald Trump is instituting. He said in his Truth Social today that if the European Union works with Canada in order to do economic harm to the United States of America on large scale tariffs far bigger than currently planned, will be placed on them both in order to protect the best friend that each of these two countries has ever had. Now he's still claiming, that there's a
It's a lot of
sort of
projection
history of
there, eh? Hey, you guys, don't hurt us. Like that's backpedaling. Do you not hear the backpedaling in that? Do you not hear him go, "Hey guys, don't fuck me over or
he
else"?
is
Like,
terrified of what's
oh
about to
my
happen. I
god,
mean, what
well
you're
he should
seeing now,
be.
and this builds upon this incredible signal gate and that ridiculous comment that JD Vance made about the freeloading Europeans that was leaked the other day. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, what you're seeing is the Europeans getting very frustrated with America and with the Trump administration, and of course the entire administration is falling apart at the seams. Every single second, we're hearing stories of complete incompetence. There's now even more layoffs coming, but the Signalgate scandal has grown to such a great extent now that you can honestly say that his entire national security team needs to go. And if that's the case, if his entire national security team needs to go, and this man is pretending to be going to war or hoping to go to war, he's got another thing coming. And I'll say one other thing. It's clear from both the China event which happened with Elon Musk a week ago at the Pentagon and what happened with Signalgate, the military is not behind Donald Trump
No,
because they would not have let Signalgate happen, and they would not have let the leak of Elon Musk's hearing or briefing on China happen. The leak was obviously came from inside the Pentagon, as did probably some of the leaks around Signalgate that probably came from inside the Pentagon. What that tells you is that there is zero confidence in Hexeth, zero, and absolutely no intention of really following Donald Trump into any of his parading wars into anywhere. So if he thinks he's got the army behind him, he has to think twice. I don't think he does.
no,
I don't think he has the American people behind him anymore either. But this is tremendously ballsy, I will say, of Mark Carney. This is not your typical Canadian move. He said he rejects any attempts to weaken Canada at a press conference today, and he's promising what he's calling economic autonomy, which is what you were talking about. Building up new alliances, building a free trade environment with inside Canada,
yeah,
and then also using all these incredible mineral resources and human resources that Canada has, but sharing them not with the United States as we've done before, but finding different routes to get all that rare minerals and all that very lucrative metals to Europe and to other parts of the world.
mm-hmm. Yeah, no, dude, it's on. It's over, and the global fallout has been incredible. Not only has in 14 days of being prime minister, calls we're under election. By the way, he's got a 251 seat supermajority projection in the House of Commons right now.
I
He's
saw you
favored to win
posted
by
that's incredible. That's incredible.
97% because of shit like this.
Mhm.
What happened after he made this statement? The Canadian dollar surged, gaining, I think, a cent and a half. The Dow plummeted 700 points. U.S. automakers panicking over these retaliatory tariffs and knowing that Canada is not fucking around. EU leaders released joint statements backing Canada, fast tracking trade and defense integration, saying we have Canada's back, always have, always will. Keir Starmer also announced that 30 different countries and 200 war planners from those countries are going to put boots on the ground, planes in the sky, and ships in the sea just off the coast of Ukraine to start protecting the Ukrainian people. This is a coordinated opportunity on behalf of Carney, Canada, all of our democratic partners around the United States because of Signalgate. That was also part of this. A conversation with a security buddy of mine today. I was talking to him like, "Is this for real?" He goes, "It's totally for real." He goes, "You wouldn't believe what's going on behind the scenes, but this was an opportunity to hit a guy when he was down, knowing his entire security apparatus and all the people he surrounded himself with, all of those kakistocracy assholes." Are not just beleaguered, but they are up for it. They're going to go to jail. They're in trouble. And to your point, and I'm really glad you brought it up. Same conversation I had with a security friend today who said, yes, the military industrial complex, the Army, the Navy, career intelligence officers, career security analysts, people who take that job of protecting the United States seriously, have no faith in this administration, and
None.
they have no faith in Donald Trump. And so don't think for a second some of the last conversations Carney had and his team had and the government of Canada had weren't with people who are not on Donald Trump's side in the United States. This wasn't just breaking up with the United States. This drove a wedge into the United States between Donald Trump and his ridiculously fucking uh, what's the word I'm looking for when you're trying to say someone is a recalcitrant, useless group of broadcasters and former losers and bank guys and real estate guys who put in natural security positions. This was meant to strike at the heart of that relationship as well, which is why every single European EU country that is partnering with Canada put out statement after statement after statement after that happened saying Canada or bust, fuck the United States. So lots going on, but at the same time, I couldn't, again, I could not, and I still am in disbelief. If I didn't have the information that I had from my security friend about why we're doing this and about, knowing that the timing was right and that if you're going to hit a guy when he's down, you hit him as hard as you humanly can. For Canada to separate and sever all ties with the United States today, that is a fucking tsunami.
Now, to be clear, they're not breaking ties as in diplomatic ties. That's not what they're talking about. They're talking about trade ties and security ties. They're not saying to Canadians that they shouldn't be traveling to the United States. They're not calling all Canadians to come home from the United States, but they are
Well, they
indicating
put
that
out
travel
another
to the
travel
United States is
advisory. Yeah,
not
yeah,
is not advisable anymore. They're asking people to reconsider travel to the United States. When you think about the amount of commerce that goes on between Canada and the United States on a daily basis, and when you think about the amount of people that share families and works and
yeah.
workspaces and careers and God knows what, this is a very dramatic move, and it's been escalating up until this point. It's just very surprising to see it happening this quickly. But as you point out, this is a calculated, orchestrated event that's taking place by a lot of the friends of democracy, if you will, the allies who are defending democracy. You've got Macron meeting with troops that are going into Ukraine very soon, we think. Other European nations are backing Macron and also committing their troops into fighting alongside the Ukrainians and protecting the Ukrainians. It wouldn't surprise me if we saw some Canadians there. And so we're seeing an extended operation that's taking place. And what I find just so fascinating is the internally what you're talking about, there is a quiet revolution happening in America. Inside the institutions of America, they are rejecting Donald Trump. They're rejecting Pete Hegseth. They're rejecting this parade of incompetent people, and they are revolting quietly for now. But I think it will end up being a full-on revolution. I think the people are going to start taking to the streets on April the 5th, and I think we're going to start seeing an acceleration to get rid of this government. This is not a government that could last for 4 years. Obviously, it can barely last for 70 days. It's losing its entire national security team. But more than that, you've now got all of the allies that used to be allies of America. You've got Canada, you've got France, you've got Germany, everyone speaking out against this. And you've got these generals, you've got an entire movement, it seems, from inside the institutions that make
Mm-hmm.
up the American government, and they are rejecting this American government. Plus, you've got judicial ruling after ruling, including the deportations that have now been banned or stopped. He's lost yet another round of his attempt to get the deportations going. So you've got the judiciary standing up to Donald Trump. You've got the military standing up to Donald Trump. You've got the entire Western world, or what's left of, outside of the United States, the Western world is standing up to Donald Trump. The allies are standing up to Donald Trump. The American people are standing up to Donald Trump. And I think what you're going to start seeing is a collapse of this government. I mean, we are I was thinking about this today. We are, with Signalgate sort of building up the steam that it has.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like we're in the Watergate days again, but we're just towards, we're closer to the I need
But so much
I'm not a
worse.
but so much worse. And also, but we're also, if Watergate is over here, this is where we're this is where we're at. Like we're very
Mm-hmm.
very close to a Watergate type scenario happening where this president of the United States will have to resign. I
Mm.
just don't see that he's got a cabinet that's functioning. He's got a cabinet that's been embarrassed in front of the world stage, in front of the Senate, in front of Congress in a big way. The American people are sick and tired of what they're seeing. They're firing so many people for irrational reasons. You've got this billionaire with ties to China, ties to Russia, cutting back Social Security, cutting back jobs at a rate that's impossible. There is this. This has got a limited time span. I think the Trump administration is on a countdown clock, and I don't think it can survive anywhere near the entire term. But I don't think it can even survive maybe the next few months.
Yeah, don't think that Canada's announcement wasn't strategically meant to speed that shit up too. And don't think for a second that that announcement by Mark Carney today, severing economic, military, and intelligence and security ties with the United States, in the words of Mark Carney, it's over. And a very fucking somber and serious looking Mark Carney at that. Don't think for a second that the military establishment in the United States that knows how much they need this country didn't sit up and go, okay, we need to do something. Don't think that 32 different states who count Canada as their biggest trading partner didn't just say, what the fuck? We need to lean on somebody. This is not how it was supposed to go. And again, let's go back to how Donald Trump enjoys watching people kiss the ring, and the White House and the Oval Office is literally his throne room now, where he parades different world leaders in, embarrasses them, makes them feel less than. Keir Starmer did it, Macron did it, but not as much. They maintained they wanted to have a strong relationship and loved the United States before, during, and after they left. Now Canada has come out from behind the veil and said, yeah, we're fucking done. Every one of those countries is going to do the same thing. It's not just about Canada ending ties, it's about Canada starting the dominoes that end other ties with other countries and Trump's America. And I think, again, that's a really important distinction with a difference. We didn't break up with America. Trump forced this breakup of Trump's America with the United States and Canada. This is Trump's America that we had to break up with because he is too stupid, he is too mercurial, he is too fascist, he is too incompetent, he is too compromised, and he's going to put everybody that is involved with him and that country at the moment at extreme risk. National security risk, economic risk. You can't rely on a partner like that who changes his mind from day to day. Like these tariffs that he announced yesterday, 25% on all cars coming into the United States from Canada, the EU, everywhere around the world. When he launched that tariff, and I do want to remind everybody, all the other tariffs he's launched, he's never instituted either, right? You can't play fucking backgammon with someone who gets up from the table, leaves, comes back, says he's playing and doesn't play. And so Canada doesn't like that uncertainty. And so we're choosing to do certain business with certain people. And those people are not involved in the Trump administration because we can't physically fucking keep doing this. He's been at this since prior to getting into office. November, December, January, February, it's fucking March, and he's still threatening us,
He's been
demeaning
trying to
us.
provoke Canada into this since he stepped into power for the second time. But just to add a little bit of practical realism here, on the other side of the world, Vladimir Putin is also probably shaking in his boots, but also needing to respond, and so is President Xi, or Chairman Xi of China. We are going to see a response by these two bold superpowers that have basically captured America, and that is really the thing that we are not clear on. What are they going to do to
Mm.
protect Donald Trump? Are they going to be willing to put their military, and I'm speaking specifically about China, in defense of Donald Trump? In defense of Donald Trump's America, and what does that mean to the overall global peace? Because look at Canada in particular is surrounded by Russia and, is very close to China. Once you look over the North Pole, it becomes a very difficult and contested territory. If that becomes the playground for the battleground for this war, this is very, very tricky. We have to be able to de-escalate what we're doing right now. And although I think Carney's moves are very dramatic and bold, and he had to do them, I'm hoping, and I'm sure there is, a plan to bring this to a de-escalated halt. Otherwise, escalating this is going to be really problematic.
There isn't a plan to de-escalate. This was a decision that Canada made with eyes wide open, from what I understand, in a couple of conversations I had this afternoon.
I mean, with
Um,
China, though. I mean, I
oh
de-escalate
yeah,
with
with
China.
yeah, de-escalate with China. Who, us or the United States?
Well, we have to de-escalate. The whole thing needs to be de-escalated because we don't want a global conflict, right? We don't want actual Chinese troops or Russian troops trying to, defend the American homeland or for Donald Trump. We just don't want to see that happening, and we don't certainly don't want Canada to be caught in the middle of that.
I don't
So,
know that that's in the offing. Like a lot of the Trump tariffs, Trump threats, a lot of the ego and the hubris he never follows through with, right? So there's still a school of thought out there that Donald Trump is going rogue and he just enjoys people being on edge and he likes to put people in a disadvantaged position when he's negotiating with them. But I don't think that we're in any danger of having China and Russia send troops. Russia's troops are busy or dead, and they're running out of equipment. China's on the other side of the world, and they're just interested in Taiwan and South Korea, North Korea. I mean, that's what they want. They want to put Asia together. Uh, that's a bridge too far for me. But to your point, anything's possible. I think what you're going to see out of this is This was a put up or shut up moment for Canada and its relationship with the United States. Because as Mark Carney said, there's no going back from this. And he also, and this is really funny, this is a nice little aside, then we can move on to the FiveStack. And you might want to make it the 4 or 3 stack today. I don't know. We've been at this for a bit. But um, a nice little aside. Apparently, yesterday, Donald Trump tried desperately to get in touch with Mark Carney, tried to set up a phone call. Mackenzie Gray, who's a reporter, put out a thing saying apparently Donald Trump and Mark Carney spoke. He heard it from a U.S. source. That U.S. source was trying to tell a Canadian reporter to tell Mark Carney to pick up the phone when Donald Trump calls. And you know what Mark Carney did? Again, I have this on very good authority. There's a little mention of it today in the presser as well. He said, I'm not talking to him. I don't want to talk to him. We're going to make an announcement today and we're going to draw a line in the snow. And we're going to say, we're done. We've already made our agreements, our arrangements. Those agreements and arrangements you're not going to like. They're predicated by Trump's threat this afternoon. So Trump tried to call him because that's what Trump does, right? He insults somebody. He's like, hey, I was just kidding, right? This is all good for business. Let's just kind of keep it going. We'll get the trade agreements. Don't worry about it. And then Howard Lutkin, the Commerce Secretary, who's just as compromised and dumb as Donald Trump, said, "Oh, don't worry about it, guys. We called Ontario today, and we're going to do good business with them, and we're going to hold off some of the tariffs on the automotive industry." So, like again, we're in that spin cycle of Trump, Lutnick, MAGA bullshit. And I go back to this again. We've had enough. We're not going to go broke, listening to the whims of a couple of fucking morons. We're not going to allow sanctions and tariffs to drive our beautiful citizens, whether you're right or left, and this isn't about right or left anymore, to drive our citizens to drink, to drive people into bankruptcy, to hurt businesses in this country that exist to make livings, feed families, because that's what Trump is playing with here. And Mark Carney's serious, as is the Liberal Party of Canada. I'm fucking serious about it. Everybody in this country is serious about it. The unity in this country from all walks of life, seeing it happen in real time, whether it be polling data or conversations you have with people who tell you, yeah, I was going to vote for Pierre, but Trump arrived. Carney's a fucking dude. It's impossible for me to vote for Pierre Poilievre. And how that translates. This is killing Pierre Poilievre, who's the dollar store Trump version up here in Canada in charge of Maple MAGA. He is dead in the water. We're a week into the election cycle. We're going until the 28th. New
well, there's no
polls.
doubt Carney's going to win at this point. I mean, this is
Oh,
about the boldest move you can make. But I wouldn't discount the effect of what this does to Russia and China. And I'll just remind you, as I always do, that the Arctic is the prize, and they want Canada for the Arctic. They want Greenland for the
they
Arctic.
can't have it.
Um, well, but that is all of this is predicated on that idea that they will find a way to, to somehow make Canada cede to them or take over that Arctic region. And I think that the reality of where we are now is we're seeing a escalating set of events that could lead to a major world conflict. And I mean, that's not something that's breaking news. I think, and now I think we all should be expecting the potential for a global conflict, like a world war, the likes of which we have never seen because of the involvement of different weapons and everything we've been talking about. But certainly one in North America is not something we've ever contemplated, and it's happening fairly quickly. I think the escalation is surprising me and many other onlookers as to how quickly this has escalated. And maybe that's because there's been far greater awareness by the Canadians, by the Europeans, of the actual game plan by Donald Trump and company. But Trump is ultimately just a pawn in all of this. He is not the guy actually calling the shots. It's Vladimir Putin that's calling the shots. It's Xi Jinping who's calling the shots. And they are the ones who will decide how it's going to play out in many, many ways. So, good for Canada for taking this aggressive stand. And, it's so disappointing for the American economy. And so many people are going to suffer so much
Mhm.
because of what's about to happen. Because the economic ties between Canada and America are the lifeblood for many American people. And from top of all the disastrous layoffs that they've been having, on top of all these other terrible economic indicators, they're now going to have to deal with their closest ally, this longest border, just completely becoming, a steel border that they can't cross, and an ice wall, really. And that means, in terms of commerce, I think it's going to become a very, very difficult for people to understand the enormous amount of economic damage this is going to cause. It's going to be pretty hard for Americans, and that could be challenging as well because a lot of people are going to start blaming Canada for that, and for many good reasons, Canada's doing what it needs to do, but it's going to be impossible for them to build houses, impossible for them to build a lot of their industries that rely so much on this steel on Canadian steel is going to be in a really tough situation.
Mm. Yeah, and I get that. I think it's funny, the amount of pain that a citizenry is willing to go through to protect their sovereignty and their national security. The buy into that pain in this country is 100%. I mean, you got a couple of fucking hillbillies out in Alberta and Saskatchewan who are like, we want to join the United States of America. But other than that, we're lockstep. We're shoulder to shoulder. We'll go through that pain. We'll eat that shit because we love each other. We're a country that has always loved each other. We're a country that fights like an Irish family. You'll get into it from time to time. But the second you introduce a stranger to that fight, the entire family turns on that stranger, beat the shit out of that stranger. You send them home, and then you turn back to fighting each other. That's our privilege, not his. And so, whether you're right or left, whether you're black or white, whether you're green or red, it doesn't matter in this country. What matters to this country is that we get to determine, the state of this union, not some fucking rapist felon in the White House, and not Tulsi Gabbard, and not some drunk weekend Fox News anchor. You can talk about the possibility of escalating into some kind of military skirmish. You can talk about that, but every major war analyst has said it will be the end of America. And you know why? Because it's our home. It's our home. We'll hide in trenches. We'll peek out from
Oh,
behind bushes.
I think it'll be
Like
a very difficult thing
the
to happen.
insurgency will destroy the United States of America. And they don't have the scrote. Donald Trump is an act. He is a fraud. He is a con man. And he just got called with a 2-7 offsuit, if you know anything about poker, the worst hand of poker. We just called it. And we're
Mm,
now saying, let's see your fucking cards, dude, because we're already walking away. It's over. It's not you, it's us. We're
mm.
finished. And that's what I love about this announcement. It accomplishes so much for so many, including the people of this country, to know that you've got a steady hand on the fucking rudder.
Mhm.
And knowing that you've got a man with the resume that Mark Carney has, with a stern, calm, peaceful demeanor, deliver a stunning rebuke, and then tell everybody, by the way, we're out. And there's more coming, and there is more coming. This is the tip of the iceberg. Give it a week. Watch what happens,
Oh,
because the dominoes not only will fall, but so will Donald Trump. And I can,
oh,
and
I
I
believe
can,
that.
you
I
can
don't,
set
as
your
I said
fucking
earlier on,
watch
I
to
think
it.
that the days are numbered for Donald Trump. I'm just saying that there is the escalation and the question mark for me is around China and Russia. But the more likely scenario here, of course, is that both Trump and Putin could possibly see their downfall. I mean, at the end of the day, Once Trump goes, Putin is done. Pretty much Zelensky said that today, and Zelensky said his days are numbered, and of course that's exactly where he's heading. I mean, Putin has waged a incredible campaign against the world, against rule of law, against the civilized nations of the world. He's turned out to be a terrorist and a criminal and a mobster, and people are tired of him. And now this government is installed in the United States. Well, they're about to find out exactly what that means
Hmm.
when you're installed in the United States as an executive branch by an enemy state, and it's not going to be pretty for any of them. I did notice, by the way, King Charles is been briefly hospitalized as a side effect from his cancer treatment, which is an interesting event to be happening as all this is playing out. Of course, uh, King Charles is the King of Canada, as he is of all of Great Britain and other countries. So it's interesting that that's in fact happening. So hopefully he's okay, as this incredibly difficult and momentous time is happening. Really, an incredible series of events. I've got lots more to
Crazy.
talk about, but I sort of want to keep talking about this because
You
um,
don't want to talk about the Mike Johnson being found on Grinder? You don't want to get
well,
into
I
that
do want
today?
to talk about Mike Johnson being fined and grind. I want to talk about all these great stories we have, and there's so many amazing stories. But some of it is really interesting. I mean, let's leave Grinder to the end. Maybe we'll get there. Maybe we won't.
Okay, yeah. No, we'll
But
end on a happier note.
yeah,
Yeah.
I did find it really interesting today that, hot on the heels of Elon Musk being kicked out of the Pentagon without a China briefing last week or the week before, it's now being reported by ProPublica and by the Financial Times that, in fact, a lot of Chinese companies may have secret holdings inside of SpaceX, that they may be, small or maybe even medium-sized owners of SpaceX because they hide under offshore companies, and that SpaceX has been willingly and knowingly doing this for a period of time.
I didn't hear
So,
this. This is
even
a
though
great story. Tell me more.
well, it's a great story. So you've got basically the guy who's showing up at the Pentagon asking for Chinese war plans. Um, Now may be overextended a little bit in terms of his Chinese conflicts of interest. I'll just zoom in a little bit here because I can't see what it's here, but it's um, so. In addition, we all know his Tesla's exposure. His Tesla exposure is pretty massive to China. A
Yeah.
lot of the Chinese cars are made there. We've so known that for a long time. But SpaceX has been a walled off zone in the world. But then the FT revealed that the Chinese investors had managed to acquire small amounts of SpaceX stocks and that they were turning to offshore vehicles to do that. The deals were structured to limit the information investors receive, according to the Financial Times. This is, of course, a Delaware company, and that's why the Delaware Records reveals additionally that previously unreported Chinese investments in SpaceX, but they did not say how much they were worth. So this is, firstly, SpaceX is, of course, so important to national security. The idea of having Chinese owners of SpaceX, which might give them access to technology, is kind of bizarre. But then there's a dude who works there. I can't find his name in this reporting right now, who is actually also working as the middleman, bringing in these Chinese investors through these offshores, and he works at SpaceX. So he's attracting these investors, setting up these offshores with them, and then funneling, it could be, hundreds of millions of dollars, maybe more, into this supposedly American company that's owned by Elon Musk, or it appears to be owned by Elon Musk. But obviously, there's a lot more moving in there than just Elon Musk's money. So I thought that was interesting in terms of what happened with him being rejected or ejected from the Pentagon just over a week ago when he went in for that secret briefing that no one knew about, where he was going to be told all about these Chinese war plans.
That's fucking fascinating to me. It's funny because when you talk about the veil of secrecy behind where Elon Musk gets funding from, like he gets
Mm.
about 38 billion a year from the U.S. government for all of his SpaceX stuff, right?
Yeah.
But what you don't know, and you get reports of it, is who's behind some of these LLCs, who's behind some of these companies. You can give any company a really shiny name. I mean, Tenant Media. There's another shiny name. Tenant
Yeah.
Media operated like it was an American media outlet, fully funded by Russia. All comes out like last year. Wrap Canadians in it: Tim Pool, Charlie Kirk, Jack Posobiec. They're all
Look at an
Russian
update for you on
assets
that
getting
as well later on.
hundreds
So,
of. Oh yeah,
yeah,
no, I want
yeah,
that one. Maybe
yeah.
maybe we'll turn it into the 9 stack today. We'll stay here till
There's a lot of
ten
stories
o'clock.
today.
But it's fascinating, and I wouldn't doubt it. Like it makes you wonder how much money he gets from Russia. It makes you wonder how much money he gets from every other country that has been visibly supporting through his ideological bents and his stupid fucking tweets. Which, by the way, I'm basically off of Twitter now. It's truly fascinating, and it's really encouraging because what you're seeing is some fearless reporting where there was none, right? Where people are willing to now step out of the shadows and go, okay, like Jeffrey Goldberg with the Signalgate bullshit, and then ProPublica now printing stories. Knowing Elon Musk is a very wealthy man who is very litigious, who will come after them, and to be able to unearth that stuff. I mean, this is what the start of, as you mentioned earlier, the revolution looks like. When you've got people unafraid in an environment there, it is just pure fear that you can cut with a knife, doing shit like this, saying, whoa, 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 whoa. We've got some Chinese businessmen with shell companies that have invested in SpaceX. Now we got to dig into how much, and everything starts to make sense, doesn't it?
It does for
Everything.
me. I mean, I think Elon Musk is potentially a paper tiger. That he is propped up so much by China and Russia, but mostly China, that he's just busy doing their bidding in the United States. So when they want war plans, he goes and gets them. And when they want, it's just that kind of vibe you get from this man. He's besides his complete loopiness and being high all the time, so it's hard to really understand what he's doing. The only other motivation for what he's doing is that he's doing it for China. Who else benefits from as we've discussed many times, the cancellation of USAID, the removal of soft power, the giving up all these important programs around the world? Who benefits? It's really China that benefits at the end of the day, as they're the surgent or insurgent power here. So that's an interesting story worth keeping an eye on. I knew you'd want to hear about this next one, which is about Big Balls. So you remember Big Balls? He's also on Musk's team.
Big Balls is one of the Doge 19-year-old Doge chronic masturbators that got fired for having racist content on some of his social media feeds, but got rehired right back after that because JD Vance said give Big Balls or Donkey Dick a second chance. Is that correct? Is that
That
talking about the
is
same
the
guy?
the very
Okay,
one, the same Big Balls you're talking about there. And thank you, Olga Lautman,
thank you.
who's going to be here tomorrow on the show. She will every Friday. She points out today that Big Balls has been linked to a cyber crime ring, I should say, called eGodly. He provided technical support to eGodly, a cybercrime group that boasted about hacking law enforcement emails and stalking an FBI agent. This is according to Reuters. They found out that that Big Balls, Edward Coristine, I guess is how you say it. The company is called Diamond CDN, and it's hosted by eGodly's site, and was publicly thanked by the group in 2023. So um, there's a guy working for Doge that could be linked to a cybercrime ring.
And you wonder why Canada severed ties with America today. And not, by
It,
the way, nothing makes me happier than listening to you say the words "big balls" 15 times in a sentence. Sev. Thank
and we
you.
haven't even got to the Grindr story yet. So, well, that is Doge. That is Big Bulls. I've got one other story I'm just dying to tell you about. So we'll stop it there. But in addition to all the corruption going on with Elon Musk and with
Are we getting to
um,
the number one story today? Even
we are going to
though
get to.
is that this story, or are we going to wait for that story that really buttresses the big balls conversation?
Oh no, I think we should get there. I think it's worth getting there, but I just want
Okay,
to
good.
quickly mention this is story number two, perhaps.
Yeah.
So Witkoff, the guy that has been over there in Moscow, potentially leaking all our war plans live.
This is the real estate magnate, friend of Donald
Yeah,
Trump, turned national security expert overnight. That guy.
that same guy, Steve Witkoff. He's got a long, long, long history with Donald Trump.
Yeah.
As it turns out, he also had a bit of a history with the, that kleptocracy unit that they just shut down a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. The
they were
one that was
looking into,
investigating all the
yeah,
oligarchs. Yeah.
yeah, they were also investigating Witkoff. They were trying to figure out if you remember the whole J Lo scandal with Malaysian money, the Wolf Wall Street scandal, a
Yeah.
few
Yeah.
$1 billion. It was crazy. complicated scandal. Well, anyhow, apparently Mr. Lowe was anyhow, apparently Mr. Lowe was in partnership with Steve Witkoff, which is why the kleptocracy unit were interested in their business partnership. I can't. It drives you. You gotta laugh. You gotta laugh.
Yeah, hold
So
on. Can we just for a second stop
yeah,
and put a really nice umbrella over Witkoff, Hegseth, Gabbard, anybody else in the cabinet, and just say, you know, MAGA is effectively just like it's like a safe haven, a safe house for rapists and criminals and pedophiles. Is that kind of
exactly.
just what it is? Is that what it is?
It appears to be just that because the story about Witkoff is even more interesting because thanks to Craig Unger, who's probably the most schooled researcher and author of everything that happens around Trump Russia,
Mm.
uh, you know Craig points out that he knows that Witkoff is connected to a guy by the name of Golubchik, who is a well-known, I remember this from my Trump Russia days. Golubchik is a well-known mobster. He, in fact, ran a whole illegal gambling operation in Trump Tower, 2 or 3 floors below Donald Trump's penthouse apartment there. And so this was a very famous poker ring, by the way. It attracted a lot of very famous stars. Ben Affleck used to be there. That whole crowd way back when they'd
Hmm.
show up for these late night um, uh, poker games at the Trump Tower. And Golubchik was the guy who ran that. I mean, he ultimately was brought down, that whole thing, because it was so loud and obnoxious that they had all these celebrities playing poker at all hours of the night. Well, it turns out that Witkoff gave Golubchik a glowing reference letter based on a recommendation from a friend, which some people suspect could be Donald Trump, that their history goes back that far. So, while this is all quite funny and it seems like, how crazy can the House of Cards be? It is really serious when you've got the Middle East advisor to the United States who's negotiating with Vladimir Putin about the future of Ukraine, and he may be a Russian mobster. I mean, at that point, you have to say, you know, yeah, Jordan, I don't even know what you have to say. You
I,
just have to stop.
yeah, you
You
have
just
to
have to
say, of
stop.
course. You have to say,
Yeah.
of course he
Yeah.
is. And Russian mobster, yeah, sure, I believe it, I get it. But I mean, the most incredible part of Steve Witkoff, and I go back to this, it was a statement I made earlier. He's a real estate agent and a real estate investor who overnight became a, a, a national security expert.
Mm.
I, you know.
Because he's got good ties with Putin, I bet. I should also say that Golubchik was very tied to Semyon Mogilovich, the very, very well-known Russian mobster who is basically Putin's granddaddy. He's the one who's put Putin in power and has been supporting Putin all this time. He's got ties to Ukraine as well. It's kind of murky, but at the end of the day, if there are such close ties between Witkoff and Semyon Mogilovich, then we have a real problem. I mean, this is the most corrupt thing you've ever seen in your life. And the
Well, I think
Ukrainian people,
you could just add this on top of the things where you say we have problems, America, we have
yeah,
problems. You could just throw that on the pile as
yeah.
another real problem. Yeah, yeah, for
As you
sure.
know, this is why the Trump administration is probably not going to last the next couple of months. Anyway, I should add one more thing about Witkoff. Can I?
Oh
Go
yeah,
ahead.
fuck.
Go ahead.
No,
You
no,
go
no,
ahead.
no, no. I thought you were going to move on to my favorite story of the day. We've had some
No, but
dirge
Mr.
today.
Witkoff is also involved in this thing called World Liberty Financial, which is a new company that's set up by the Trumps to basically peddle cryptocurrency.
Yeah, it's their crypto exchange. Yeah.
Yeah, well, today the same company that Witkoff is involved in, the Middle East advisor, for some reason, is involved in their crypto company. Um, they're launching a stable coin. They announced today. They launched USDI, a stable coin pegged to the US dollar and custodied. I don't even know what that means. To buy BitGo. I don't know what those means, what those companies mean. I just know that the firm is led by the Trump children. That it's really bizarre that a potential Russian mobster and a Middle East advisor to the United States and a good friend of Donald Trump is in the middle of launching a stable coin as the American government is about to consider a crypto reserve, which will artificially increase the price of crypto and make them all super rich and make us all super poor. I mean, this is right in front of our eyes. It's playing out in real time. This is the crime that they're pulling off as we speak.
If you bought a Melania coin or a Trump coin,
Mm.
if you did when they were launched, they are worth 2% of what you paid for them today. 2%. Listen, this is just yet another example. I mean, we can act shocked and surprised. Just another example of the ongoing criminality with the Trump administration while being investigated for ongoing criminality. It is breath fucking taking. That
Yeah, it's
story is
breathtaking. I mean,
it's just
and
wild.
and it has victims. People think, well, just like it's just crime, crime, crime. But this is crime is going to impact Americans of every shape and size for many, many years to come. I mean, this is
Mm-hmm.
if they do this crypto thing, it's going to destroy the American dollar. The effects of the trade issues we're now having with Canada, the effects of that's going to last for generations. It's generational, and they allowed this guy to come in there and act just a total criminal. It's insane what they're doing, and it's insane what they're doing so openly. So, number one story of the day, because we had to get here. I ran through those quickly. And we've got 3 minutes. We can do this. So, there's a rumor out there that, and I'm looking at the text exchange right now of what supposedly is Mike Johnson on Grindr. Mike Johnson, who is, as many people know, devout Christian, who's yeah, go ahead.
Grindr is a gay sex app. Is that correct?
Well, I could tell you what that is, because it's a gay hookup app. It's a gay dating app. You could meet people on
It's
there
it's
for all
Tinder
sorts of
for
things.
Tinder for people who are gay, bisexual, or into alternative lifestyles. Is that what you
Yeah, or
mean? Okay.
someone who might want to experience it, experiment, whatever it is. Who knows what it is? But you would go there to find gay things, I guess.
It's not a dating app though. It's like a sex app, right? Like it's a hookup app.
It is a sex app, but although certainly people date on there as well. Like, I mean, it's not just a hookup thing. I mean, there's lots of people who go into Grindr to date, but in
Not
this case,
judging,
maybe not.
just getting context. I'm just trying to get
Yeah, no
context.
problem, no problem. I mean, thank you for asking.
Thank you very much for telling me.
But it's interesting because Mike Johnson is renowned for his anti-LGBTQ positions. He is, in fact, such a embedded into the LGBTQ movement. It's kind of astonishing. He was part of the World Congress of Families. He also did this Alliance for Defending Freedom, and the ADF is what they were shortened for. We're basically going after gay conversion therapy organizations, or supporting gay conversion therapy organizations so they could continue. It's really vile sort of free legal aid that was being provided to these anti-LGBTQ organizations. So normally I would not care who the Speaker of the House is sleeping with, or if he is not sleeping with, or if he's on Grindr or not. It's really their own business. But in his case, because he's been such an activist against every LGBTQ person ever, and because he professes to be such a Christian, and because his wife is a well-known consultant in helping people convert from being gay to not being gay, which is widely discredited, it seems to me quite stunning that. Oh, and did I mention that they had a son, a 25-year-old son, that was living with them in their early days of their marriage, or when they started dating, which turns out maybe a black guy, a black son, I don't know. All this was happening at the time, as they met. So normally I would never. This it really. Who cares who he's sleeping with?
Dude,
But there
you
is an
don't have to.
exchange
You
here
don't
that
have to
looks to be.
justify outing him, dude. He's outed himself. I know you're being very careful. I love you. You're a very smart, strong gay man, and you're trying to
Yeah.
do all the right things here today. But just fucking let it fly, dude. Like seriously, let it fly.
I mean, so there's a conversation about the luxurious hair that he has, although he doesn't want to provide a picture at the beginning. So I don't know how we knew about the luxurious hair. But then it goes on for them talking about, are you in town for a couple of days visiting DC? This is Johnson apparently to his other person. Yes, I am. Are you offering me a tour? I can give you one. I have a few contacts who can go to the Dabney for dinner and then back to my place. And then he says, I can blow your brains out, which I can't believe he actually would have said. But anyhow, who knows?
He told the guy he could blow his brains out.
uh,
Mike Johnson said he would blow this guy's
yeah,
brains
I
out,
think
or this guy
so.
said he would blow Mike's
No, I think
brains
he
out.
said it. He said it. That's his line there.
Is that like blow your brains out, shoot you, or is that like blow your brains out? Like
I think blows.
I'm gonna give you some incredible fellatio.
No, I can't speak for what's in Mike Johnson's brain when he says blow your brains out. But he does go on to say he's very discreet here with a few kids, not trying to mess up my situation. Well, finally, he does share a picture, and it's Mike Johnson. I don't know if it's him that's sending you the picture, but there it is. Um, and he says, "What time should I pick you up from your hotel?" So
I love
that
it.
is the love story. That
I love it. I love it. I love it. Is this in any mainstream publications? The first time hearing about it, other than you teasing me before the podcast, and I'm like,
No,
"Ooh,
I
save
had to
that for
do
the
some
end."
deep research on this. I had to do some deep
I'm sure.
research. I had to go find out. I mean, it came off TikTok, and I was really skeptical at the beginning. I was like, "This could be complete bullshit." But the guy who actually posted on TikTok says it's the real deal. That he was given it to him by someone who's the other part of this conversation. Now, I can't vouch for that. I wasn't the person who had that who got this tip, but those are the actual screen grabs I just read to you. We know his history is very, very weird. He's constantly going on about these LGBTQ rights. He's got a app that he runs with his son and
Yeah,
him
the
have this
porn
weird
app.
app thing.
Well, have you heard about that? That made me laugh because he was talking about it when he became the Speaker of the House, which was fucking hilarious in itself. And he's like, my son and I, we have an app where we will monitor how much pornography we both watch. And I'm like, what the fuck did he just say?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
have
Why
a
would you?
mutual app where you, and he goes, we sit down and we go, what did you watch today? He goes, well, I watched RedTube, Two Girls, One Cup. I watched some amazing bukkake, but only for like 15 minutes. And Mike is like, okay, son, great job. Here's what I watched. Now, apparently, we know what he was
Now we know what they're
watching.
talking about. What they're
I
watching.
watched something called Human Centipede today, son, and it was all dudes.
It's interesting as well that Johnson is unusual living arrangements in Washington D.C. He lives with a pastor in a really fabulous $3.7 million house, and the pastor is also anti-LGBTQ, and it's also true that he's married, but it's people are speculating, perhaps quite loudly, that they might be having a actual relationship, that the pastor and Mr. Johnson are actually involved in something that is more than just a tenant landlord sort of arrangement, and that they're just using that as cover. So lots of questions for Mr. Mike Johnson today, the Speaker of the House, who
Has he
may
said
be a
anything? Has he said anything? Has anybody asked him
I,
about it? Is
I,
there any
I haven't
comment
seen
from him?
anything he said today, but I did see him the other day when Donald Trump was speaking, close his eyes and like pray. I don't know what he was doing, but it looked like he was in abject pain. So,
I think you know what he
so
was doing. He was praying for penis. Is probably what he was doing. He was just closing his eyes, going, "Dear Jesus,
or maybe
please,
he knew that
please."
something was coming out because it looked like the face of a very worried
He's like,
man.
"Dear Jesus, please send me some more wieners, and don't let anybody find out because I'm pretty sure that my wiener texts are out there now. And but if you could just kind of send me a few more wieners and keep this hush hush between you and me, I'll do whatever you can. Thank you. In Jesus' name, amen." That's exactly what he was doing. You and I both
Probably
know that.
exactly that. You're brilliant. You're very brilliant. I love you to death. You're amazing. And
You're welcome.
also, I should say, well, let's summarize the show for you. Mike Johnson, potentially gay, is caught on Grindr. Elon Musk potentially in Chinese hands because apparently they're owning a big piece of SpaceX, which is Elon Musk's company. We learned today that Steve Witkoff is a Russian mobster and potentially involved with the JLo, Malaysian $1 billion thing that they were investigating by the kleptocracy unit that was just shut down by Donald Trump and company. We also learned today that Big Balls may be a cyber criminal or so thereabouts, and of course that's it. That's what we learned.
Well,
That's the
we
show.
also learned that Canada cut ties with the United States of America, which was a very, very big deal. I couldn't be more proud to be Canadian. Listen, the reason why we do this show, if you don't mind me capping this off,
You go
the
for
reason
it.
why the reason why Zev and I do this show is because he has a vast American audience. I have a vast Canadian audience, and we love America. You know what happened today with Canada? Canada saying bye bye to Trump's America. We didn't say goodbye bye bye to America. We're mourning that relationship. That was an obituary as much as it was an announcement for the people that we love in that country so much. About 300 million of you, and hopefully more very soon. But we do this show every day, and we were going to try to do this show every day because the response has been really amazing. We've got hundreds of people watching now, which is just continues to grow and climb. And we want to affirm your values. You know, we want to affirm your goodness. We want to talk to you and have some fun with you and give you the information that you're not going to get from anywhere else because it's always suppressed. Everything that we talked about today is real. And it's real, and these are conversations that no one wants to have because they're afraid of not having access, or they're afraid of burning bridges, or afraid of losing a paycheck. We don't make any money from this. No one owes us a fucking thing. We owe you, the good people of America and the kind people of Canada, an explanation and a little ferryman trip down the information superhighway so that you can understand the things that we understand. And yes, we spend too much time online. I spend far too much time online. But we also spend a lot of time talking to people, making sure we get our conversations right. And we do that for you. So if you could subscribe to Zev's Substack, we'd appreciate it. If you could subscribe to mine, we'd appreciate it, free or paid. It doesn't matter. We're just really grateful that we get a chance to do this, and all those paid subs help us do this longer. But we're in it for you. We don't want anything from you other than for you to join us on these journeys and in these conversations, and in mocking guys like Mike Johnson for being on Grindr and sharing porn apps with his son.
Well said, Dean. And Dean, your Substack is growing so brilliantly and so quickly. You're actually on the top 20 risers in Substack land today,
So
maybe even
weird.
higher right now.
So weird. It was I was on the leaderboard. I didn't even know what it was. I got this message that said you're on the leaderboard. I'm like, what's a fucking leaderboard? Because I'm new to Substack. It's been a month. So, we've had several thousand people follow us, and I've been so grateful. Substack has been this incredible eye opener. But yeah, the last time I checked, which was a few hours ago because I've been moving, I think we were at number 14 or number 15 or something like that. In the world, which was really incredible. And Substack, I resisted for a long time. I was a Twitter guy, but again, like I took my head out of Twitter, and my reality is so much cleaner. I feel so much better about myself. I don't feel so greasy. I don't have to ramp myself up to open up the app. I open it up excited to see who's talking to me, to have conversations with people. And if you go to my Substack, you've got a couple of podcasts, including one with Mark Borey. The FiveStack is there, so you can see all of these as well. And you can also check out, not just the 5-Alarm Blaze, that is the relationship with Canada. We just posted a full article on that, so you can read about Mark Carney. You can watch his actual words. But we also posted a really cool story today, about Pierre Poilievre literally getting crushed at the seams right now by Mark Carney. It's the last stand for democracy. Yeah. That's what we do. All of our content, and I made a decision a long time ago, probably about 4 or 5 months ago, that if Trump's going to win, I'm going to throw myself at protecting democracy and giving people a place to affirm their values. And so, we're all in this together. We appreciate your support, and we love the fact that you tuned in today. So thank you.
Thank you very much. And I'll just say as well, on my Substack, which is narrative.org, narrativ.org, I'm going to place all my previous investigations about Mike Johnson, about how he's connected to the Russian mob, the Russian intelligence services, and also his history with the LGBTQ world. There's a deep archive on Narrative, and I'll post that after this show is done. Thank you for being here tonight. We will be back tomorrow with the very fabulous Olga Lautman on the FiveStack. We love you, and stay strong, and we'll be reunited. America and Canada will reunite. It'll happen.
I wouldn't bet on it.
We'll see.
We'll see.
I'm a lover. I'm a lover. I'm not a fighter. I believe that we can all get back together, and it can all be beautiful at the end. So I hope it happens. Have a good night.
Bye, guys.